Welcome, everybody, to Free to Be, a conversation with the one and only Dr. Lauren Powell. She is the undisputed culinary doctor who I have been blessed and very fortunate to have developed a relationship with over the past couple of years. So she is here with us today because, as you know, Freedom at the Mat, the intended Freedom at the Mat is to give us counsel and advice that helps us break our bondages that bind us in our lives. So today we're going to talk about food bondage. And this is coming from a very real place for me. You know, I have been challenged by food since I was, I think, 10 years old. I was always a chubby little girl, and I always was challenged by food. I began dieting at age 10. I began working out at age 10. And so at a certain point, I began bringing foods out of my diet, adding certain foods, but I'm realizing that I don't think I have a healthy relationship with food. And I know that there are plenty of other women who have the same challenge. So I am grateful that Dr. Lauren Powell is with us. Hello, Dr. Lauren Powell.
Hello, Miss Olivia, and thank you so much for having me today.
Wonderful. I appreciate you for making time and space in your very, very busy practice and life to spend time with us. So what I want you to start by doing is just sharing with us a little bit about your practice, where you're based, and tell us more about your practice. And what about your journey as a doctor and even just as a woman got you to this philosophy around food being medicine?
Sure. So I am a family medicine physician and I work in an outpatient practice in Atlanta, Georgia. So I see patients typically, I think my youngest patient is 9 and my oldest is like 103. So I see kind of the whole spectrum of ages and all spectrum of diseases. And my journey really started when I was in residency. So we had to work 36-hour calls just as a part of our training. And so one of the things that was a part of my practice is to call my dad every time I was driving home from working on call, and he would kind of keep me awake until I got home. And so one day I called him, a normal Saturday, called him after I got off call, telling him all about the patients I had taken care of overnight. And his speech was slurred and he just wasn't acting like himself. And I immediately recognized my father was having a stroke on the phone with me. And so that changed a lot for me because my dad was not a neglectful patient. Like, he was that guy that was going to the doctors every 3 months. He was that guy that was taking like a handful of pills every day. And something bad still happened to him, right? He still had an event. And so I thought to myself, if a patient does all the things that we ask our patients to do, but something still happens to them, maybe we're missing something. Like, maybe we're not giving them all the information that they need. And so that's when I really kind of went into this journey of like, why does disease even happen?
Mm-hmm.
You know, we can give somebody medicine to lower their blood pressure, but why was their blood pressure high to begin with? Like, why is their blood sugar high to begin with? Why don't we fix the reason that it's high rather than giving them medicine to lower it? Because as long as you're not fixing the underlying problem, you can still have bad stuff happen, right? The same happens for me. I see patients every day. I give them medicine for their blood pressure, for their cholesterol, but they still have strokes. They still have heart attacks. They still have things that happen. And it's because we're not getting to the underlying cause of the disease. And so there are many underlying causes for diseases. As we know, some things are genetic. Some people have a genetic predisposition. But I think greater than that is some of our lifestyle stuff, which includes food. It includes what we're putting in our body. And I think oftentimes the reason that we see similar conditions in entire families and in communities because we're all eating the same, we're all cooking the same, we're all sharing the same lifestyle practices of not moving. We're all stressed, we're all overworked. And so that's kind of where my journey really began, and it hasn't really stopped. And obviously I see patients all day, but my work doesn't stop there because I realize and I recognize how limited we are with the doctor's office, right? I only get so much time with patients, unfortunately. And so It's not enough. It's not enough to teach wellness, right? So we go to the doctor when we don't feel good, but where do we go to learn how to be well, to be well? And so that's kind of what my mission in my journey is.
And we are so grateful for you. So now you just mentioned that you have entire families that are ill in large part because of what they eat. And I've heard all my life, you are what you eat. Can you break that down for us? What does that mean? Because I think we all hear, oh, you shouldn't have Cheetos, you shouldn't have donuts, you shouldn't have this. But can you just help us understand a little bit more what's happening to your body when you eat a donut? That being me, or a beignet. What happens to your body when you are eating a steak or a pork chop? And I'm not trying to overly malign these foods because we know that food brings us joy. So I'm not trying to malign these things. And I think we're going to get there in a moment around creating a healthy relationship with food. But why shouldn't we have these foods? What happens when we have some high sugar, high fatty foods?
So I try to keep things very simple. You're either eating things that serve your body or you're eating things that don't serve your body. It's that simple. And you can think about it in terms of relationships, right? We have people that either they add value to our life and we're so thankful for them and they bring us joy, they bring us happiness. And then we have people that stress us out. When they call, we look at the phone and we avoid it. And that's how food is. You're either eating food that adds value to you or you're eating food that is, not serving your health. And so when you think about that and you think about what role does food really play? Like, why do we eat? Right. So we have to eat. We need calories. That's what fuels our systems. We have to, pump our heart. We have to function. Our kidneys have to function. We need calories. We need sugar. We need vitamins. We need minerals. So we need food to function.
Yes.
And so, but when you eat things like a donut, it's not serving any value to your body, right? So there's no added nutritional value. So you're eating something that has tons of sugar that's very processed. It's not even like, some foods that have naturally occurring sugar, like an orange, right? An orange has sugar, but it provides some kind of nutritional value. It has vitamin C, it has antioxidants, it's anti-inflammatory. So it adds value and it serves your body. But when you eat something like a donut, it has no value to your body. So you're eating something that tastes good. And basically what it takes maybe 3 minutes to eat a donut and then it's done. And that's it. Like that's the only thing that is giving you is that joy for that 30 minutes or that 3 minutes. Because after that, immediately your blood sugar is going to increase because donuts have lots of sugar and it's simple processed. We call those simple carbs. So your blood sugar is immediately going to increase, and that causes an inflammatory process. And so just think about sugar floating around in your bloodstream. Think about a pack of jelly. You know how it's just pure sugar? Think about that just floating through your bloodstream. And that is what's nourishing and providing fuel now to your brain and to your heart and to your kidneys. So you're basically serving your body sugar blood, right? So there's just no value to it. And so oftentimes when people are eating poor diets, I call it, so it's highly processed, it's high sugar, things that are very high in poor quality meats. I'm not saying you can't have meat. I'm not saying you can't have a steak every once in a while, but I'm talking about things in excess. Oftentimes, patients have a lot of vague symptoms and they just don't feel well. And there's no way you can feel well if you're not putting good things in your body. But what happens is they get so used to feeling that way because they've been eating this way for so long that it's not until they start removing the stuff out of their diet that they didn't even realize that they were feeling bad until they start feeling good. All of a sudden their brain is sharper. All of a sudden their energy is better. All of a sudden their sleep quality is better. All of a sudden their mood is better. All of a sudden they just feel better. And so a lot of times I challenge my patients who have been eating a certain way for a long time. I say, listen, you may feel okay, but trust me, you can feel better. And you won't believe me and you don't know it until you just do it. And so I have to just ask you to trust me on it and kind of let's remove some of these things from our diet and our regular nutrition. And you could just see how amazing you'll feel.
So let me ask you a question to that point, right? So what signs might we know or indicators that our diets are off? If I have too much sugar in my blood, is there a certain way that I might feel that I may not have already known to detect that, oh my gosh, I have too much sugar in my blood? What about, clogged arteries or something from too much fatty food? How will I feel? Because I really want to develop a much better relationship with food. I can tell you one thing I definitely want you to answer, but I know for like my water, I can tell when I haven't had enough water in my system. There
Yeah.
isn't enough fluidity. My body doesn't feel nourished. But when you talk about people saying they don't feel well, can you give us some indications of how your body is feeling when you had too much sugar, too much fatty foods, etc.?
So it's going to vary. Some people will have absolutely no symptoms, right? They'll report that they feel fine. Some people, they have a sugary meal and their brain feels foggy, because what happens is that sugar spikes and you get energy and then you kind of crash because it goes like this. Instead of eating a food where it doesn't have a high sugar component, or it has some sugar like an orange, but it also has some fiber in it. And so your sugar levels are like this. It kind of keeps them
Yeah.
a little bit more stable, rather than this like spiky thing that you do when you eat these foods that are high sugar, high simple processed sugar. So the thing
Okay.
is, oftentimes the symptoms are not alarming, right?
Okay.
Oftentimes when you're eating a high fatty diet and you have high cholesterol, you have high blood sugar, oftentimes you won't feel it. And you won't feel it until something bad happens. And that's what I try to urge my patients is, you don't want to wait till you feel it, because then it may be too late. And so that's why it's important for you to see your doctor regularly, so you can have your numbers checked and you can see where you're at. Because oftentimes,
Yes.
we'll have a little bit of an indication based on your blood work, like, hey, you're in the pre-diabetic range. We got to be careful. We have to watch some of your sugar. Hey, your cholesterol, every year I see you, it's creeping up 10 points. We got to watch that. And the thing is, you don't want to wait until you feel bad to do something about it, because sometimes when you wait until you feel too bad, it's irreversible, right? Like my father, he was feeling fine until he had a stroke. But you don't want to wait until you have something like an event happen, because trust me, it's like trying to educate about preventing fires versus the fire has already started and you're trying to put it out. It's
Right.
so much easier for us to talk about how to just prevent the fire to begin with, rather than the kitchen is on fire and we're trying to grab whatever we can to put it out.
So that leads me to my question around, how can you help us create a healthy relationship with food? Dr. Lauren, I am a girl who, while I don't necessarily need a whole lot of meat, I need my donuts. I need my Laffy Taffy. I need my now and laters. I need sugar in my life. But I also know that there's certain foods that just bring us joy. We call soul food comfort food. So I don't think it's even realistic at this point in my life, having had this yo-yo relationship with good and bad food, to say that I'm completely eradicating from my diet donuts and steak and those types of things. Can
Yeah.
you help us figure out how we can create a healthy relationship with food? We can have some of those foods that bring us joy and bring us happiness, but also we have mostly foods that serve our bodies well.
Right. So I think the first thing you have to ask yourself is, like, what kind of relationship do I have with food to begin with? Like, is food what I turn to when I'm bored? Is food like my comforter? Is that what I go to when I'm sad or when I'm feeling anxious or when I'm angry? Is food what I go to when I celebrate? Is like, that's like how I can, celebrate and celebrate myself and my accomplishments. So I think it's important to understand, why is it that we turn to food? Like, if you have a sugary thing or you have whatever it is for you, like, what makes me turn to that? What emotion makes me turn to that? Because I think it's important that we identify that emotion, because you can eat the food, right? But that emotion is still there. So it's like, if you feel anxious and you go to the sugary thing, it's gonna, it's gonna
So there.
release serotonin. It's gonna make you feel good in that moment, but we haven't addressed why we're anxious to begin with. And so that's how you have this vicious cycle of you just going to it over and over and over again. So I think we have to just be honest with ourselves and ask us, what relationship do I have with food? And in that relationship, who's the boss? Is the food the boss, or am I the boss? Who's the boss? Because we should be the boss of our food. And that doesn't mean you can't have it. But if
Yes.
I'm the boss and I say, so for instance, with me during this whole quarantine thing, I have been quarantining. I have had to work every day, but it's been stressful. And so I have been finding myself drinking wine every night. And I said, Lauren, this is just getting too much. The sugar, the calories. And why are you doing it? Like, you're stressed a little bit. You need to deal with the stress and not go to that. So I'm the boss of the wine. The wine is not the boss of me. So I said, okay, Lauren, I do enjoy wine. and I'm not going to say I can't have it, but I need to exercise some control over it. So you can have wine, but let's just have it on the weekends when you're not having to work. Let's just have it as a, you're home, you don't have to work, you're making a lovely dinner for your husband, and you have a glass of wine. And so that's me being the boss of the food. That's me being the boss of the wine, because I'm not restricting myself. I'm not saying you can't have the donut, but I'm saying if your health goal is to eliminate some of the sugar, if your health goal is to really optimize your health, you recognize I can't eat a donut every day. I just can't. It doesn't work in tandem with the goal. Those are conflicting. So if this is my goal, and I have this goal for a reason, not just, vanity, but I really want to be healthier. I want to feel better. And these are the behaviors now that I'll have to adopt in order to support that intention. You have to recognize that you're the boss, and you have to exercise that power that you have over the food. And I think a lot of times we're letting our food control us. We say we're not going to eat something, but then as soon as we're around it, we can't control ourselves. We can't control ourselves around the donuts when they bring them into the office. We can't control ourselves when our friends are around and they have alcohol, even though I just said I'm not drinking during the week. And so we have to be the boss, and we have to own that.
Why do you think that we lose discipline and self-control when it comes to food, to saying no? I mean, I like you. I'll be like, oh, I'm not going to have sugar this week. And then someone in the office brings, a whole thing of Krispy Kremes. And I'm like, oops, oh, well. And I just kind of dismiss it. It's like I almost don't understand the immediate repercussion of it. So I'm like, oh, it won't hurt. Like, why do you think we do that? We don't have
I think because we don't have a strong enough reason as to why we're doing something. It's kind of like when we create our like New Year's resolutions, right? And we go strong for like the first couple of weeks, and then all of a sudden it's like we forget about them almost. And it's because we don't have enough strong of a reason to anchor us down. And so when you can remember that anchor, and sometimes we have to like have reminders of what that anchor is. You have to remember it so it can stay close to you. So for instance, I have this thing where every year, I used to be a ballerina for like 16 years. And so every now and again, I'll like just do something just to see if I still got it. I'll do a turn or a jump. And my dad will always like tell me not to do it because I'm going to hurt myself. Like, you're older, Lauren, you can't be doing that anymore. And I say, what does older have to do with anything? What does my age have to do with my athleticism? And so I had this goal every year. I want to be in the best shape ever. Every year I want to do that. Every year I want to be able to lift heavy. Every year I want to be able to run farther. I want to still maintain my athleticism every year. And so I turned 35 in November, and I was reflecting on 35, and I said, there were some great things about 34, but at 34, I was not in as good a shape as I was at 33 and 32. So at 35, I want to get back to my 33, 32, where I was just stronger. My endurance was greater. And so now when I have to make decisions about my exercise, about my food, I embody that person. I embody the person that has already achieved that optimal health goal. I embody the person that's strong. I embody the person that feels great every day, that likes the way my clothes fit. I embody that person. And I say to myself, when they bring Chick-fil-A into lunch, because at the hospital they bring all kinds of stuff, I say, that person who has already achieved her optimal health goals, what kind of decision would she make right now? Would she eat the Chick-fil-A? Maybe she would. Maybe she would because she's earned it and she's been, good all week. But maybe she'd say, no, Lauren, that's not part of our strategy. That's not part of our goal. That doesn't fit into the routine. So I think having your strong anchor as to why you're doing something, and then keeping it in the forefront and kind of embodying and embracing and leading as that person kind of will help you stay strong. But it's hard. I mean, it's hard, especially when you're in an environment that is not supportive of your health goals.
Thank you. So the strong anchor, and then the last thing I have before understanding how we can find support, because I think that this is all really amazing advice and really wonderful information, but I know that some of us still gonna need some support, like me. Before I go there, I want you to just tell us, is there one piece of advice that you can give to us for those of us who are really struggling with emotional abuse of food? How can you help us break the bondage? Is there any advice you might give to us to do that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we have to deal with the emotional reason. Like, some people turn to food, Some people turn to sex. Some people turn to drugs. And so I think we have to be willing to identify that we don't feel well and we need to talk to someone. I think it's okay to seek help so that we can have a healthy relationship with food, so that we can manage our emotions. I mean, so many women, I think we carry a lot, and sometimes our food is the only thing that seems like the thing that we can control. Like what we eat, it's like what I eat and what I drink seems like the only thing I can control. I have no control of my time. I have no control of this relationship. I have no control of this job. And so I think we got to do the work, and we have to own it. We have to be honest with ourselves. And if you need help, get the help, because after all you have is the rest of your life. And until you break the cycle and get the help, this is going to be a recurrent thing, and it's going to be year after year after year. And you're going to look up and you're going to say, wow, 10 years has gone by and I've felt the same way. 10 years have gone by and I haven't been able to get my health together because I can't get this relationship with food together because emotionally I'm not well. And so
what do you say to pardon me for interrupting, sister. What do you say to the sisters that are just in it? They are raising the children, they have the spouses, they have the careers, or they're working, 24-hour shifts, they're just 16-hour shifts, whatever. They're just completely in it. Yeah. I have family members that I know that they've got multiple kids, they're working, and they are overweight, but they don't know how to get out of the cycle. So how do you break the cycle?
So the first thing you have to do is decide. You have to decide that you want to. And there's no point in me giving you all the strategies. There's no point in me giving you a nutritionist. There's no point in me getting you to a fitness trainer. There's no point in me doing any of that until you have decided in your mind and in your heart that you're ready to stop it. And some people just aren't ready, and you have to respect where they are. It's like the same thing with smoking cigarettes. Sometimes I'll ask my patients, are you ready to stop? You know it's not good for you. You know it's not, this is like the one bad habit that you have. And they'll say, Doc, I'm just not ready yet. And so I say, okay, when you're ready, I'm ready to talk to you about it. But until you're ready, because you have to do the work, right? The person has to do the work. You can come and see me and I can give you all the tools, but you're with yourself every day and you have to do the work. So I make sure that they have, I don't try to scare people, but I do try to be honest. I do try to be honest, and I let them know, if you don't do anything, this is what could happen. And I know it sounds like there's a lot of people who depend on you, and they probably need you, and they need you well. And if we don't fix this, something could happen and you could no longer be there for these people that you love and care about so much.
Because sugar does result in diabetes and high blood pressure and strokes, and, fatty foods impact the heart. So we do know that, right? All that plus things I would never, ever, ever know, because we actually didn't get into the repercussions. But I think many people, especially those who are watching, they know that having a high blood sugar level isn't good for them, right? It's just about, how do I stop this? So my last question for you in closing, Dr. Lauren, is for those of us who need support, who need community, right? And I am definitely one of those people. What recommendations do you have? I know that you are the culinary doctor, and I've heard that you have a fun community that I just learned about this week. Can you tell us about that and any other resources that you would recommend?
Yeah, so I have a membership. It's called Cooking Queens, and that's because I believe all women have a little bit of queen in them. And it's just a community where I have all these conversations about food and health, all these conversations that I don't have enough time to talk about in the doctor's office. So I talk about food and diabetes. I talk about how to fix my hypertension with food. I talk about aging in food. I bring in guest experts, and we have talks every week. We talk about emotional eating during the holidays. That was one that we just had. We talk about our immune health. We talk about how to get our kids to eat more vegetables. So every week, we're doing some kind of health coaching. Once a month, we do a virtual cooking class. So a week before class starts, you'll have your grocery list, you'll get your groceries, and then we'll get together and we'll cook together. And it'll be a safe environment where you can make a mistake, you can try new ingredients, and it'll be just great to try something new, something that you'll love, something that I know your family will love. first Saturday of every month. We do a great workout together. I have a fitness trainer who comes in and he kicks our butts for 20 to 30 minutes. And that's great because it's just a great way to start off our month.
Okay.
I have a library of recipes. So if you ever just need something quick that you want to make for your family, you could just go through the library and pick something, watch a 3-minute video, and then make that healthy recipe. So, it's a membership that I'm trying to make accessible for as many people as possible. It's $22 a month. There's not a lot of things you can get in this world where you can talk to a doctor once a week. You can get your questions answered. You can work out. You can cook. You can exercise. There's not a lot of places where you can do that for $22 a month.
It's
but
amazing.
I believe that, and I could charge way more for this, but I believe that there's so many barriers to health. I believe people have barriers to healthcare. I believe people have barriers with insurance. People have barriers to finding minority physicians. There are so many barriers to achieving optimal health, and I want to make this a no barrier option. No barrier. It is accessible, and wellness is accessible to all. And I just want to help people be healthy. On that event that you saw me at over the weekend with Anytime Fitness, they asked me why is being healthy so important? Why is that even important? Why does it matter? And I feel like if you're not feeling optimally, you can't live your God-given purpose. Like, how can you fully step into who you're supposed to be if you don't feel well? If you don't feel well mentally, if you don't feel well physically, it's impossible. So I feel like I'm helping people do their purpose. And so my purpose is to help people be healthy so that they can do their purpose and that they can help others. So super easy. If any of your listeners would love to want to be a part of it, I would love to have them.
Yes.
They can actually email us at CookingQueenSupport@drlaurenpowell.com. And for any of your members that email us, I will waive their enrollment fee of $25 and get them in, and we'll send them some goodies just to start them off right. I'll send them one of my books and some other goodies just to get them started on their journey. So send us an email and just let us know that you're part of Miss Olivia's community, and we will take care of you.
Thank you so much. I will put the link in the description as well as the email, so that'll all be there. Thank you so much, Dr. Lauren. I actually have one bonus question. It just came up and you may or may not have an answer for it, but I thought about it. For those people that are like, okay, I'm going to start anew. It's a new year. I have been just treating my body like a dumpster and I'm going to start over. I want to get a colonic. Is a colonic cleanse valuable? Does it really help you reset? I've had a couple of them in my life. I know that there are different opinions around them. So just want to know, is that something that people should look to do if they really want to start fresh and start with CookingQueens.com and really get going with taking control of their health?
I don't think it's harmful. So I always, whenever anyone asks me about something, I ask, is this harmful? And overall, I don't think it's harmful. I think you can cleanse your colon in multiple ways. I think you can, one thing that me and the queens do is the first 3 days of the month, we do a 3-day kind of juice cleanse. And I think that's just a great way to kind of detox from the sugar. It's, tons of fiber. It's going to get you moving anyway. But the thing that I always encourage with people is let's create sustainable changes. So sometimes we put a lot of emphasis on doing these colonics, or I'm going to just drink water for 1 week. And I think, that's fine, but that's not something that's sustainable. And so I want us to do slow and steady wins the race. So I want us to just incorporate small things that we can do every single day that are going to stick, because it may not feel like we're doing something amazing and exorbitant, but when you look back on 45 days and you'll look at all the small changes that you've made that you are sustaining, that's going to do more for you and greater for you than any colonic or cleanse, I promise you. So I think that's what my answer would be.
Well, I am so grateful for you. I'm grateful that you're living your purpose to help people like me live our purpose. And I am going to be joining CookingQueens.com tonight. I promise.
We would love to have you, Olivia.
Because I need the support. Yeah, I've been going back and forth for so long, and I do care about my health. But as a very busy person, like many of the busy women watching, it's just hard. You need some support. And I go to my doctor once a year for my checkup, but I would love to have that ongoing support. So I thank you. And for everyone who is watching, thank you so much for being a part of the Freedom at the Mat community. Please continue to look after your health, make your health emotional, physical, every aspect of your health, mental, make it your priority, prioritize your self-care. And continue to support Dr. Lauren as well. If you have questions, she's very responsive. She's a very busy woman, but she's also very, very responsive. One of the most responsive doctors I've seen. Dr. Lauren, where can they find you on social media if they want to follow you? And also they have a question.
Sure. So I'm on all social media at Dr. Lauren Powell. So it's just DrLauren Powell. I'm on all social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and I try to get back with people as fast as I can. I'm like a little OCD person about communication. I hang out on my website a lot, which is drlaurenpowell.com. You can also find out more about the membership on my website too, if you just go to the website and click membership. And then again, feel free to email me. My email address is on all my social media platforms. My Cooking Queen support manager is at CookingQueenSupport at drlaurenpowell.com. And we're here to serve. And so whatever you guys need, we're here.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lauren, and God bless to everybody. Namaste.